On the product detail page, I'm able to interact with my 3D model via VNTANA's 3D web viewer. So here I can rotate the model by clicking and rotating around. If I hold Shift and click, I can pan the model and drag it around. Up at the top, I have a bunch of settings. So on my camera settings, I have the ability to rotate the model and set the position. Setting the position will cause this model to always load in this position wherever it is embedded. I'm going to reset it to default. Target point is basically the center point of the model. What's the center that we're loading from? So here you can kind of see when I move it by shifting, it looks a little off. I can set that if I want to, so that it always loads in this exact position. Oftentimes you're not going to want to do that. Really only if your center point is off might you want to use that. So I'm going to click reset to default here. I can click auto rotate, and this will cause my model to automatically rotate. And I can also control the speed. So I can go fast at 3, or I can go really slow at 0.5. And this will happen automatically. Additionally, I have the ability to set my minimum zoom or my maximum zoom. I can override my default limits. So by default, I can't zoom in any further than this, but if I click override, it would allow me to do so. Or I could disable zoom, and this will prevent users from zooming in and out on your model. Next, we come to the lighting section. So exposure adjusts how bright is my environment map. And I can see that by clicking show environment in background. We have a bunch of environment maps to choose from, a lot from Browseware, as well as some other maps. You'll also be able to upload your own environment maps soon. I can change my background color: white, light gray, gray, dark, and transparent. Transparent appears as white when you look at the VNTANA platform, but actually it would display whatever's behind it. A good example of this is VNTANA.com. You can see some 3D models where we have a different web page behind it rather than a box for the viewer. Next, I have the ability to adjust my shading model. So there's two different types of shading that we offer: diffuse and metallic. Generally speaking, diffuse is going to work a lot better with your organic materials. Metallic is going to work better, exactly like it sounds, metallic materials. So if you had a car or a refrigerator or something like that, you might want to choose the metallic shading model. Otherwise, I'd probably default to diffuse. Next, I come to my lighting intensity. So there are actual physical lights in the scene. And what I mean by that is that there are lights that are pointing down at this asset. Adjusting the lighting intensity adjusts how bright those lights are going to be on your asset. You can also change the color of the light that is shining on this model. Generally speaking, we leave it at white, and you're going to keep your lighting intensity probably a little bit on the lower side. Next, I have the ability to use ambient occlusion maps or not use ambient occlusion maps. So it's a little difficult to see on this model, but you can see up at the top right here, there's some shadowing that goes away. And so that's just showing and hiding those. Next, I have the ability to adjust my shadow intensity. You can see that on the floor. I can adjust how soft it is. I can adjust where the position on the floor is, so move it up or down. Then I come to model orientation. Most customers we see using this are in the footwear industry, where a shoe is rotated the wrong way. So here I could type in 90 and it's going to turn the pants 90 degrees. I could rotate the pitch if I wanted to. And what's going to happen here is that it's actually going to change the position of the model and write that into the file itself. So your new optimized outputs will have this new positioning. So you'll see a reprocessing after you adjust the orientation of the model here. And then I would simply click save and it's going to reprocess the model. I'm going to click reset to original. Finally, we have post-processing filters. So SMAA is a type of anti-aliasing filter. What it can do is basically make edges appear smoother and softer than they would otherwise appear. It's usually used in assets like jewelry, for instance. A lot of our customers will use that. We also have a sharpen filter, and you can see here that my image is getting a little bit sharper. And we have bloom. Bloom is really only going to be relevant for assets that have the effect of radiating light. So again, think something like jewelry is where you might want to use that. And then you can play around with the threshold or the radius to see what's right for you. Finally, we have the tone map. And so the tone map basically changes the tones of the asset. So we offer a linear one as well as ACES filmic. That's our default, but you can also do linear if you feel like this matches more closely to the color that you're seeing on your screen in your program. And remember, you always have to save your changes after you make them. So here I would click save, and once I click save, it's actually going to deactivate this asset. And so then you'll have to republish it. This is because we want to make sure that any changes are approved before they go live.